Everybody, we are back talking about all things health, strength, having everything that we need physically to run our race and finish our course. We know that so much of all of our struggles in these areas is right between our ears. It is the mental games that come with this. Last episode, we were talking about how all these things are actually spiritual. Like, and the world doesn't know this. They're not going to train you in this. But this is one of the goals of the church, is food throughout Scripture was not just physical, but spiritual. First temptation of Adam, food. First temptation of Jesus, food. Esau trading his birthright for a bowl of soup, food. The enemy using mind games, thoughts, ideas, and suggestions to get us to eat. Like literally, he's literally using thoughts, ideas, and suggestions, trying to get Adam to eat, trying to get Jesus to break a fast. And so it's not just physical, it's not just mental, it's spiritual. And where he attacks us is in our minds with these thoughts, ideas, and suggestions. That leads, when we yield to it, for more shame to come into our minds. That leads to more hiding, because what did Adam do when he ate? He hid.
So good.
And after he eats, he's hiding what he did. He doesn't want anyone to see it. He's trying to cover this up. And I don't think that even was a body image thing too. Of now he's ashamed of his body. After he ate, he's now ashamed of his body. So I will cover this up where I don't want God to see it. I don't want man to see it. Because it started off of what something like a physical food item. It was turned into something spiritual that attacked his mind. And when it attacked his mind, it made him hide. It made him feel body conscious. It made him very anxious about his physical appearance, so much so that he's rushing to cover it. All those types of things. And I think all of us have kind of seen that play out in our lives. We have seen like an onslaught of temptation that maybe you're watching this and you didn't even know it was temptation. It's like this kind of thing, but like it's like this urge to like eat, and not just eat, but to eat a lot, or to just shovel down food, or to take the whole pack of Reese's, buy the Easter eggs or whatever it may be, and they're fresh, candy's fresh, and but like how strong? Why is it so strong? Because it's not just physical, it's spiritual. And when it's yielded to, it gets in our minds, and then we feel shame, and then we get body conscious, and then we hide from others, and then we repeat the cycle over and over again until it gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So how do we come at that place where we combat the shame, we come out of the cycle, we resist the temptation, like all those things? When I say that, does any of that resonate with you in any way?
Man, big time. The word revelation, it goes back to me for revelation, like, because you're talking about Adam and in the garden. They went and hid, they covered themselves. And when I studied that out, I noticed the word revelation in the Old Testament, reveal, it means naked. And so that's what they had with God before sin, was full revelation.
That's good, Luke.
Of who he was.
Yeah.
There was nothing in between them.
Yeah, and who they were with him.
Yeah. Nothing hidden, nothing completely revealed.
Yeah, and to each other.
Exactly. Yeah, and think about that part of it. And then when sin came, the first thing that the devil took was revelation. They covered themselves. Now there's no more revealed. There's no more revelation. There's more relationship. That's what he's after, right? Intimacy. And so once I saw that, I'm like, oh, wow. It's just amazing to me how that is the first. What he used was food, and now we still deal with our, that's the same thing. That shame still tries to, come up and makes us want to hide and makes us just get in that cycle.
Yeah.
But that's why I think for me, the Lord was like, no, you need a revelation of health. It needs to be revealed to you who I am again. And honestly, that's what Jesus died for, was to bring us back to the Father the way it was before the fall, to redeem us the ministry or reconciliation, right? And like to redeem us back to the way it was. And that's what we have access to 24/7, but the devil's still trying to steal it.
Yeah.
He knows he's lost, but if he can still, I mean, messing with God's kids, right? That's his business. And so, but what we do, or what I try to do, is remember to stay in that revelation, to stay in fellowship with him, because that's what removes the shame. That's what removes that guilt. And if I catch myself eating a whole bag of whatever it is that I didn't say yes to, that I didn't, you know what I mean? Like it chose me, I get caught up in that again. And I'm like, gosh, because it's like once you've been there in any type of addiction and you slip, that's a dangerous place.
Right.
Because there's a potential of not just that shame from that, but all the other shame.
Yes.
Of disappointment, who you're going to let down, and and so once you have been delivered and set free from that, and you do make a mistake, you got to be quick to repent.
I think that's so, and I want to ask you like what that process looks like for you, because I think so many people have been on that journey where it's like, I got healthy for a week, or I got healthy for a month, or I got healthy for 2 months or whatever. But then I have one of those moments where it comes like an onslaught of temptation, like eat this tree, eat this tree, eat this tree. And it could be the hot dog, or it could be the bag of chips, or the Ben and Jerry's, or like whatever it may be. And then you do it and you feel shame, even if it's just shame between like, I can't believe if it just feels between you.
Yeah.
But if it feels like between you and God, or like now I'm hiding it from a spouse or hiding it from others, they go down that trail. And then all of a sudden, like all the progress they made over 2 months is now they're right back where they were. And then like Jesus told that parable, like you cast a demon out, it'll go away for a while. But if you come back and it's empty and it's not filled with something, he'll come back and bring twice the son of hell he was before. And like I've seen that happen in a lot of people's lives, of like out of that, when he comes back, it's worse than it was, and that type of. How do you stop those cycles, and what does that look like to come out of that shame? To reveal. Do you talk to God about it? You talk to your spouse about it? You talk to yourself about it? Like, how do you come and like kind of break that out of your life?
For me lately, I've noticed like the thinner I am, the less I weigh. Like before, when you're 300 pounds, you can gain 10 pounds and almost not even know it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you don't even feel it.
Right.
But when you're 225 and you gain 3 pounds, you're like, I've gained weight again. And so I have caught myself even, and this is something that's interesting to me that I'm still coming out of and working through, is like, I'll ask Kelly, am I fat again? Like, have I gotten fat again?
Isn't that interesting?
And it's almost like a panic. And she's like, babe, come on. Like, are your clothes fitting different? What's going on? Like, no, clearly look in the mirror. It's this self-image thing that God's healing me of as well in this process. And it's like the way you see yourself. And I've heard people talk about sitting with people who are anorexic, dealing with a disease, and are bulimic, or, whatever it is. And they look in the mirror and they're 70 pounds, but yeah, they think they're fat and overweight. And it's this deception that the enemy's had them in. And so I was overweight for so long that if I catch myself gaining a pound or two, it's like, oh my gosh, have I slipped? Have I gone back? And so for me, it's been my spouse. It's been Kelly being like, no, babe, you're fine. Like reassuring me again of like, no, maybe even if it is a pound, it's okay, because you know what to do now. You're free from that. And so that's her reminding me of that freedom all the time. But that's just my journey. So.
Isn't that interesting though? Because I found that even in my own life too, of like, the shame of feeling like it's not vanity, it's on the other side of that, of like the shame of like Adam and Eve, of like you're body conscious. Yeah. You're very body conscious. And you find this part of you that, it's like, am I going to be found unwanted, unattractive? If this doesn't fit, or like that type of thing. And that's all bondage too. But we see, I think that's important for us to see, as to how spiritual
so
all of this is. Yeah. And like you said, of like how it goes that way with anorexic and the bulimic, of like out of how spiritual food is in the lives of people, and how it grabs a hold of people, where it is not the fuel that it's meant to be. It's something to be shamed. It's something to run from. It's something to, or, just pleasure or whatever it may be. But it takes on all these forms of extreme, and to come back and like reclaim it and have it not to be about a scale or a number, but mastery. I will not have this be my Lord, period. Like I have one Lord. His name is Jesus. And I will not have food be that thing in my life. But, that's a process that I think in my own life too, of like, how do I bounce back after I've missed it in that area? And I think for me, it has come back to that revealing of like, I'm not going to be ashamed of what I did. And this is true, honestly, for me with any type of sin. Which I think it's funny in church, we'll talk about like all these other types of sin, but leave gluttony completely out of the conversation. It's like, we'll talk to you about sexual sin. We'll talk to you about all these other, it's like, gluttony completely unnoticed. But out of that, with any type of sin and that type of thing, like this overindulgence or this yielding to the flesh, I think it comes through this path of revelation and revealing. Of one, revealing it to myself of like, this is spiritual and I'm not going to let this have me. Let me pull back the curtain and to see that like there's an enemy at work. He's come to steal, kill, and destroy. You're not going to have me. You're not going to have my family. Like I want this open revelation to myself of exactly what I'm dealing with. And then secondly, I want that with God. Like I'm not going to hide with God. It's like, Father, I just made a mistake in this area of my life. And just like with any other mistake, I want this area of my life surrendered to you. And that's what this is about. It's not about the Reese's peanut butter cup. It's like that had mastery over me. And I want every area of my life to be surrendered to you. And so I'm not going to hide this from you. This is where it is. And I admit like this was, but I receive your grace for that. But I also ask for your grace to give me strength to be free from this, that this will not be a possessor of my soul, that this will not make me bow my knee. And then I think that accountability with others of, if you have, like in that one workout program we did, I don't know how well this works, you had to weigh in front of everybody. That'll make you.
With a screen.
Yes, everybody can see, like if you lost weight that week. So I don't know how well that works for people. And that type of thing. And like I said, genuinely for me, it's moved me further and further away from the scale and more to blood work. And like, what are those numbers showing and that type of thing? Like, is the way I'm living impacting those things from a health standpoint and not just from a cosmetic standpoint? But I do think it is important to have some of those metrics too in our life that we're looking at to see, is the way that I'm conducting myself leading towards health? And that type of thing. But I think finding that accountability with others was that point I was making. If I want accountability with myself, pull this back. This is not just physical, it's spiritual. Go to the Lord, repent, but ask for grace of like, I want this surrendered to you. But I found I've done well in an accountability group, whether it's with a spouse or whether it's with, honestly, it's helped me having you be on this journey or other people in our lives who are like serious about, let's go on this together. Like that helps when you have that and that type of thing.
I was going to mention that in the last session too. But just, that accountability, getting around a community that's health conscious.
Yes.
That's it. You know, and for, the same thing, like you've helped me so much in years past with doing all these workouts and different things and like seeing your transformation and it's driven me. But looking back, it's like, man, I wish I would have, gone through all that but had like, and not done it for almost like the vanity reason. It's like, I just wanted to look better. I wanted to whatever. But this is different. It's just such a difference this time. And I've noticed it. Don't get me wrong. The enemy still tries to bring fear of like, even when I go back to the doctor now to have blood work the same way, or even just check my blood pressure because I was on all those medicines. I was on 5 different medicines. And now I'm on 0.
It's awesome.
2 years later.
It's amazing.
And it's not because I just threw them all away.
Right.
Right. Like, hope it works. No, the doctor said, you don't need these anymore.
Yep.
You don't need them. I went to my heart doctor for the last time last November, and it was just a yearly checkup. and he said, well, look good. He said, I'm not your doctor anymore. I said, what do you mean? He said, you don't need a heart doctor. You don't take medicine. Your blood pressure is perfect. You don't need a heart doctor. I'm like, not even like annually? He said, no, not unless you have something come up or something wrong. That's music to my ears. I'm no longer, you don't need me. And I'm like, interesting.
Yeah.
But God did that.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to obey. That's something else I feel like is worth talking about right now too, is in the beginning of this journey, when people started to notice I was losing weight, it brings a lot of attention and whatnot. And honestly, it was very uncomfortable for me because I'm like, I'm not doing this for me this time. And so it was a good sign that it was uncomfortable because I'm like, I don't even want to explain anything. Just like, let me stay in this bubble. It's working. Don't make me uncomfortable. But the Lord said, what are you going to tell them when they ask you, what are you doing?
That's good.
And I said, well, at first I would say, oh, listen, it's all God. It's all God. God's doing it. It's all God. And the Lord corrected me. I'm like, oh, well, it is you, Lord. And he said, I know, you know that it's me doing this and me blessing you, me giving you grace and help. He said, but there's another aspect of it that we don't talk about that people need to hear, and they need to hear that you're obeying me.
Yeah, it's good.
We leave that out. We just say, okay, Lord, heal me. But what if he asked you to do something?
Yeah.
What if there's a part that we play?
Which most miracles are. It's not just like, I'm going to wave my hand and turn water into wine. It's like, obey me. Or go show yourself to the priest.
Yeah.
Or go march around this city wall 7 times and then shout, like that type of thing. It wasn't just God's power. It was obedience, tapping into that.
So I'd catch myself after that being like, oh, it's all God. Well, actually, I'd stop myself and be like, it's a lot of God. I'm trusting God to help me in this. I said, but I'm listening to what he's asking me to do, and I'm doing what he's telling me to do. I'm obeying him. I said that we co-labor. And so it's part of that testimony, part of the testimony. And what I found is once I started talking like that versus saying it's all God, nobody wanted to hear it. I was like, wait. No, this is the key. Like, this is the part you want to hear.
Here's some personal accountability.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so it's been fun, though. It's been fun using and sharing this testimony because I'd say 15% of people who I share it with are real hungry for it, and you can tell they want it.
Yeah,
and you can tell. And I've even
and they're at that place where we talked about in the first couple of episodes of emotional mastery.
Yeah,
of like their emotions are starting to at this place to master this of like where I'm really open to the physical mastery. Like, what do I need to do?
So good. That's exactly what that is. But not everybody's ready.
No,
they may ask you.
Yeah,
but they're not ready for the answer.
Let me ask you this. One of the things that you felt like in this season is even that and I think this may help somebody, even that physical transformation that you felt like you needed to make and that the Lord was asking you to make was even for a next season of life and making that for that. And like when that was kind of made and kind of walked in, all of a sudden a new life is starting to open up. For you, and the Spirit brought that to you. Do you have anything to say about that? Because there may be some people out there that, once again, this is more than just I need to lose a couple of pounds or that type of thing, but it is spiritual, and it is like with the Jesus break your fast, Esau eat this bowl of soup, Adam eat whatever apple or whatever it was. It was to take something from them. For Jesus, his power. For Esau, his birthright. For Adam, Eden. That it was a spiritual attack with food that, if it's yielded to, takes destiny, literal destiny from man. And I noticed some of that in your story and testimony, that you really felt like that, like this being consecrated was part of that thing for God being able to open up destiny and be able to open up the next thing.
I knew in the beginning of this journey, there was a whole lot more tied to it, but I just couldn't see, all the details. But then as I began to see a transition and change, the Lord started talking to me about other things, just in the spirit of like what was coming, changes that were on the horizon. And I'm like, well, how's that going to work? And, we all have questions, but, and then you sat down with me one day and asked me to be the campus pastor here. And it wasn't long after that, which was a promotion, obviously. And that's what I feel like the devil's trying to keep us from, is from promotion. whether it's a position or whatever, but just in God, like just him being able to promote us. And I feel like in this journey in the last year, the Lord has reminded me many times and said, you would never have been able to sustain this role and what's being required of you now had you been the weight that you were, and had you been in that state of health. For me, it was weight, it was a big part of it, but like, I don't, because I had no idea of the effects that my lack of health or the level of health that I had was affecting me.
Yeah.
It was causing anxiety. It was causing depression at times, not clinically, but you know what I mean? Just bouts with it, back and forth. It was causing physical pain, exhaustion, tired, all those different things. And he was like, to the level that I'm asking you to operate now and to hear my voice and to spend time with me and to do these things, he's like, you never would have been able to sustain it. So I couldn't give it to you because it would have hurt you where you were. But because you obeyed me, I feel like this is such a reward for obedience is what it is to me. And so, but I do, like you were saying, I feel like it's going to bless somebody. Like I feel like there's a lot that people are wanting and want to step into and maybe even have heard God tell them they were going to. But there's something on our part that's required, an adjustment, just a tweak here or there. Sometimes I feel like it's like this huge thing. And for me it was, but it didn't start huge. It started small, like just small steps. And then before I knew it, I'm sitting here talking to you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way God works though.
Yeah.
So,
No, I love it. I feel like there's somebody out there, and when Jesus came out of the wilderness, the Bible says he came out in the power of the Spirit. And immediately his ministry took off. And the first temptation was this physical temptation to like break this fast with food, turn this stone into bread. And he said no. And when he said no, it opened up the door for power and promotion, and Jesus's ministry literally went to a whole nother level and went to a whole nother place. Conversely, Esau's life went to a whole nother place when he did not say no. Adam's life went to a whole nother place when he did not say no. And God's a God of redemption and can bring us back and redeem the opportunity, redeem the time. But I feel like somebody's out there and you're in that place where like this is coming at you hard. And the reason why it's coming after you hard is because there is a new level of power and a new level of things that God is wanting to do in your life. And if you will say no to this, it's about to propel some things because the Lord sees he can trust you. And the Lord sees that like in every area of your life, it's a lordship issue. It's not just like a food issue. It's a lordship issue. And surrendering to him to that, coming under his mighty hand, humbling yourself to be obedient and to not just have instruction, but to have obedience mixed with instruction will open up the door for him to trust you with more. Because it may be a little thing, but he tests us with a little to see if he can reward us in the much. And so if the Lord is dealing with your heart to like combat this temptation and really, really like emphasizing that in your life, and you feel like a lot of temptation in that area, it's because there is a power and a level of promotion that's on the other side. And let's make the decision to say yes together and just say yes to the Lord and no to all these temptations that are waging war against our soul. I've really enjoyed our talks on this, and maybe in a couple of months we'll have to get together and talk about where we're at and what we've seen, and because I know we're not done. Like for both of us, we want to get healthier, we want to get stronger, we want to get more energy, and kind of talk about what we're doing and what we're seeing. But I've really enjoyed our talks. I'm thankful for your yielding to the Spirit and letting Him have this work in your life, and look forward to see where that's going to take us next.
Grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
Love it. We'll see you guys next time.